everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. I'm so happy to have you here today. Before we get started, be sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube. It is completely free to subscribe and access all of my tutorials. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button down below. Now, today's tutorial is a really fun one. We are going to make some water slide decals. Now, if you don't know what water slide decals are, they're basically like a clear sticker, but not a sticker. They do still have an adhesive, but they are really great for using on things like acrylic. You can make all sorts of cool stuff with this, and we're even gonna make a mug. And these are really fun to work with, and I can't wait to show you all the different little tips and tricks. We're gonna make this really fun bookmark, which is probably one of my favorite things. And I think it's really fun because we added glitter to it by using some UV resin. So if you wanna make these and you wanna seal them really well, I do recommend having UV resin. I'll link everything that we're using in the video down below to help you out, so if you wanna make them too. You'll also need a bowl with some water in it. Lukewarm water is best. You'll want gloves to protect yourself from the UV resin, and then you'll also want some sort of a UV light, whether it's like this, which is just a nail light, or you can use the UV flashlights. There's lots of options. And then I'm going to use some StarCraft glitter for this. And like I said, we'll link everything down below. We're going to make an ornament, a bookmark, and a mug. And I'm going to show you how to design using some really fun fonts. These are what they call doodle fonts, and it comes with like a bunch of different little like designs and things that you can use to create them. So this video is going to teach you all sorts of great stuff. So without further ado, let's get started. The first thing I want to show you how to do is to download this type of a design. So this is not technically a font. A font would be a file that would be an open type font or a true type font. These are actually PNG images, and I'll show you this here. This has a bunch of different like design types for your different letters. So you have all these different patterns that you can use to create your designs. And I'm going to show you a couple of different things that we can do with this. And what's really fun is it also comes with these little extra PNG files that we can add. And I can't wait to show you how to work with these and work with your water slide so that you can make some really cool designs. So what we're going to do first is we're going to click download, and we're going to save this into a folder on our computer. I'm saving this into my water slide folder, and I'm going to click save. Now this is a compressed folder, meaning that the files need to be extracted or unzipped in order to access them and use them within our Cricut design space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the extract all option right here at the top of my folder. And I want to make sure show extracted files when complete is clicked, and then click extract. Now what it'll do is it's going to uncompress or unzip that folder. And now we're going to have access to all of our different designs. So if I pull this up, you see the preview for each of the letters and the little designs that we have. Now we're going to head over to Cricut Design Space to show you how to make these into a little design. We're going to do a bookmark, we'll do a fun little ornament, and a mug. Now here in Cricut Design Space, we're going to upload our images. So first we'll do one that we're going to make into an ornament. And that one, I'm just going to put the name on like the letter and the name on the ornament. You'll see in a second. It's really easy to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click upload. I'm going to choose upload image. Now for this one, I'm going to drag and drop the file so that I can see exactly which one I'm using. Now for this one, you can use any design that you want. So we have these cute little elf ones. There's like this retro Christmas clip art, which we're not going to use for this just yet. You've got the gingerbread guys, which are super cute. Those are just like gingerbread with snowflakes. The elf. You also have ones that kind of look like a chimney. There is the reindeer ones, which is the ones that we're going to use here. But then I just want to show you really quick. We also have the snowmen, which are so cute. And the candy cane ones, which are just kind of striped. And then last but not least are the Santa ones, which also so cute. But for this one, I want to use these reindeer ones. And we're going to use the letter B. You'll see you get the whole alphabet plus all the numbers. For this, we're just going to use the letter B. So I'm going to go ahead and open that really quick just so you can see what this looks like. So this is your cute little design. It's so precious. I absolutely love it. But let me show you. We're going to drag it and drop it into Cricut Design Space. Now this is a PNG with a transparent background. So all we do is click continue. On this screen, which is where you would remove a background if you had one, we don't need to do anything here. We're just going to click apply and continue. Now we want to save this as a flat graphic because we're going to be using this as a print then cut product, and flat graphic is what you use for that. So then we'll click continue. Now over here, you can rename this. So I can call this like B reindeer, well, whatever. I didn't have space. That's okay. B reindeer letter, and you can add tags like Christmas, reindeer. Oh my gosh, I cannot type. at all. Holiday, whatever you want to do. You can add those tags. Then you click upload and it's going to automatically put that into our canvas. Now it's going to open the stupid images. Just close that. We don't need it. I'm going to size this down so we can see this on our screen. Now we could just do this as is. We don't really have to necessarily do anything to this, but I do want to put his name across the little reindeer's belly. So I'm just going to add some text and we're just going to add the name Brian. And I can change my font by using the little font selection tool up here at the top. Now you can do whatever font you want. You can do a script font. You could do, something like this that's a little more fun, which is actually the font I kind of want to go with, I think, maybe. But also, I don't know if I want the B capitalized or not. Actually, I kind of really like that. I think we might go with this one. It's a guy, so we'll do it a little more manly. So again, choose whatever font you want. And then what you're going to do is kind of size this to however big you want it to go across your reindeer. Now, you can do this however you want. It's truly up to you. You can make it small. If you just want it to be like this on your reindeer, you can make it big. You can really do whatever you want with this. There's no right or wrong way to design this. You don't even have to put a name on it if you don't want to. So I think I'm going to leave it like this. I think that's about the size I want to go with. Now, because we're going to be using print and cut with this, what I want to discuss with you is the fact that this has transparent areas. So let me change the background color on Design Space to a dark color so you can see. Everything that's purple is where your Cricut is going to cut around your image. So we're going to have a bit of an issue here with these little lines down here and the ones in the middle of the bee. Now, what's great about the water slide is it's a clear product. So what I'm going to do is I want to add an offset to our design. To access the offset, go under the little pencil and choose offset. Now we don't need like a giant offset for this, but you do want something that's at least going to give you a little bit of edge around your design. So honestly, for this one, a 0.25 offset should be just fine. I'm going to click apply, but one thing I want to point out is you'll notice you can see some purple here and we don't want that. So what we'll do for that is we're going to go to contour and we're just going to click that little area right here and that will fill in that hole. Now, I want our offset not to print in any color, so I'm going to make it white because white ink on an inkjet printer does not exist. Then all you need to do is select the name, the reindeer, and the offset, and you're going to choose flatten, which is this one with the arrow and the two little squares under it. Now, when I select that, it's not going to really look like anything happened on the screen, but if you look over in your layers panel, it's all become one layer. Now from here, we can size it to fit on our ornament, and whatever size ornament you're using will be fine. Mine is like a 4-inch circle, I think. I'm going to see if I have something else to put this on besides a 4-inch circle, but right now I know that I have a 4-inch circle, so I'll size it for that, but I'll check before I print this out as to what size I have. So now that I've got that one done, I'm going to go ahead and just change this color back to white. Now, it will look like you have no offset on this, but if you ever need to just double check, just change the color of your background to anything you want, and you'll be able to see it again. Now, I want to do our bookmark, and I'm going to put a little name on that, and I think it's going to be so cute. So what we'll need to do is, again, upload those letters, but you have to upload each one individually. So you're going to click Upload Image, and then you're going to choose whatever name you're going to do. I'll do my name, and we're going to upload each of those letters individually. So for this, I have 7 letters in my name because it's C-O-R-I-N-N-E. So I have a bunch of different designs that I can choose from. So for this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 options for our letters. However, I don't really like the chimney and I don't really like the gingerbread one for my names or the candy canes. So we're going to do Santa Claus, snowman, reindeer, and elf. So I've got 4 designs to choose from. So we'll have a couple of doubles, which is totally fine. But I think for the C, I want to do the elf one first. So I'm going to go and upload that C. And all I do is just click continue. I'm going to click apply and continue, choose the flat graphic one, and then click continue. Then all I need to do is choose upload. Now I'm going to have to do that for every individual letter that I'm doing here. So it's going to be a little bit of a tedious process, but it's so worth it when it's done. So I'll show you one more time. I'm going to click upload, choose upload image. And then for this one, I'm going to do a different pattern. I do like to do it in letter order so that I kind of can keep track of where I'm at. So I'm going to do snowman for, you know what, maybe we will do, maybe we'll do reindeer for the O, just so that it doesn't have a hat. So I'm going to do O. See, yeah, we'll do O. So we're going to do CO. We'll go ahead and upload that. Now, Cricut, you can only upload one image at a time. So like I said, this will be a little tedious, but we're just going to go ahead and upload all the letters to my name, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to make a cute little design with it. Now that we have everything uploaded, first off, you can see it's all way too big for print and cut. That's okay. We'll get to that in a second. But I'm going to grab everything that's here on the screen because there's a bunch of pieces, right? And I want to size them all at the same time. So I'm going to align them and center them. And then I'm just going to make them smaller so that we can see them on the screen so we can arrange them easier. We'll resize to fit our design in a minute. So I've got all of my letters to spell out my name. And I'm just going to kind of scooch them over so I can get to the C. So obviously we are starting with the C. The next one that we're going to do is O. And first what I'm going to do is just sort of get them where I somewhat want them. Now I do like them to overlap a little bit, and we'll kind of switch where they are in the layers as we're kind of building this. So don't worry that they're kind of overlapping. You want them to if you want them to. If you want them separate, you can do that too. I just kind of like the look of a little bit of an overlap. But you can make this however you want in whatever style and whatever design. So don't feel like if you don't like them touching, you don't have to have them touching. So I like them touching. So I'm going to go ahead and spell out my name, C-O-R-I, and then this is going to be one of the N's, and then this will be our other N. Now these are going to be a little bit not touching because if I have them touch, they're just a little too close together. So I'm just going to kind of have the ear overlap, and that should be fine. I'm going to scooch this guy way out of the way because he's just a little bit still in the way. I'm going to put this N here. And actually, I kind of want to switch those. I don't want the two Santas right next to each other, kind of like on other sides of the deer. I'd rather have it go like this. And we'll see kind of how we feel about that. We can always change up what letters we're using for this if we don't like the way that they're kind of matching up and overlapping with hats and things like that. So just keep that in mind. Like the elf hat and the Santa hat are kind of on the same side. So I might change that, but I might just also leave it. Who the heck knows? Let me grab all these and size this down just a bit more so we can kind of see it a little better. Now, from here is where we're going to kind of play with like what letter is on top, which one goes behind. I'm going to move this snowman and I'm going to just send that one to the back. I want the N of this guy to just go over that one. Now, as far as the reindeer is concerned, the hat here is going to kind of cover her face. But here's what you can also do. They don't have to be in a straight line if you don't want them to. You can drop this reindeer down, maybe move the R up. You can put the O up if you want, maybe move the C. Maybe you want to angle the C. You can do that. You can do whatever you want with this to make it yours. Now, personally for me, I do kind of prefer them to all line up at the bottom. So that's just a personal thing of mine. Now, I know I want this reindeer to go behind this C. So I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to send this backwards so that it's behind the C. Because I do want like the little hat to kind of go over the ear. I just think that looks a little bit better. Now, this snowman guy, I want him in front of this O, but I think I want this I to go behind the R. So I'm going to right click on this and click send to back. And so that one's behind. Now, this is kind of where we play around with this and figure out, okay, do we want the Santa hat on the top? Do we want the reindeer on the top? What do we want? How do we want it? It's up to us and the way we want to design it. I'll move on to that one in just a minute because I'm going to do this N next. And I'm going to send this one to backwards. I want it behind the deer's ear. And I'm just going to kind of, I don't need them fully like touching, but that doesn't look too bad. I'm going to scoot it over a little more. Now, again, this is really where we play with stuff. We kind of figure out the way we want it to look. And again, we've kind of got this Santa, and because the other elf is in the front, I'm going to have this Santa go in the front of that elf. And because this hat is kind of in the back, so it kind of gives you a little more like variety. And then I'm going to take the snowman, and I know I put him to the back, but now I think I want him in the front, and I want him just a little bit overlappy of the N. Now, once I'm happy with that, I'm going to select my entire design. And I'm going to go to align, and I'm going to align the bottoms just so they're all even. And I'm pretty happy with that. I think that looks so cute. It's like exactly the look I was going for. It's adorable. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to flatten this whole design. That's going to tell Design Space this is all one piece. But let's remember a couple things here. Remember, we have transparent areas. So let me change that background color to that bright purple. So we've got all these transparent areas with these little tiny lines that we, of course, don't want to cut because it won't cut and transfer correctly, especially with water slide decals. So we're going to, of course, add that offset again. Now again, the offset is under this little pen and you can just choose offset. Now again, I think a 0.25 might be a little big just because I do need to fit this on to a bookmark, which is fairly small, and we'll measure that in just a minute. So I'm going to make this a little bit of a smaller offset. I'm not going to go too small, but a little smaller. And then I'm going to click apply. Now again, we have a lot of holes in this one. So I'm going to go to contour, and for this one, I'm just simply going to tell it to hide all contours. And now our offset is solid, so it's going to make it easier for us to cut this. Now again, I'm going to make it white, but also remember, nothing white will print. So we're going to have a little bit of an issue because none of this is going to be white, but we're going to do something really fun to our bookmark so that we do have that white background to it. That way you're going to see your snowman better, your pieces of your Santa better, and all of that. Now again, I'm going to select both pieces and flatten them. And now we need to size this for our bookmark. So you'll want to measure whatever you're putting your item on, because whatever I use might be different from what you're using. But I'm going to be using this little bookmark blank, which I will link everything we're using in this video down below. I've got about 5 inches tall, but my width is pretty small at just a little over an inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this height here, and I'm going to change this down to 1 inch. And I know it's not going to be like perfect, but I think that's probably a decent size. Now I could go just a little bit bigger. So I could do like 1.2, and I think that that might fit a little better, but now I've got 5.5 over here. So if I want to just reduce that a little bit, I can, but I think what we'll do is we're going to go like 1.02 just to give me a little bit bigger. But this is what's going to print out, is this really small design. But that's going to fit on our bookmark, and it's going to be so darn cute. I absolutely love it. I think it's so cute. So now that we've got that and we have our other guy over here, this is our ornament piece. I'll scooch him over so he's with the other one. We'll make one more really quick little design to use on a mug. And I'm going to show you that one. We will do that one as one of the designs that we haven't used yet. So again, I'm going to upload the image. So now that these are uploaded, they're again giant, which is to be expected. They're always going to load big when they're really good quality PNG files. So I'll size these down. Oops, and apparently throw them in a corner that I didn't mean to. But with this, what I'm just going to do is I'm kind of just going to place the Christmas tree and the little J and this candy cane just in like a little scene, if you will. So I'm going to take my candy cane, size it quite a bit down, and I think I'm going to just angle it a little. Whoops. And if you ever do that where you accidentally change its scale, just hit undo. And I'm going to just kind of maybe place it so that it's kind of along the side of the J. Then I want to take this Christmas tree, and this Christmas tree is going to go behind the J, but I do want it to be a little bit bigger than the J. And then all I have to do for this is I can right click on the tree and send it to the back. And now it kind of goes behind the J, and I can play around with the sizing on everything and, you know, the way you want it to look, whatever you want to do with this. Honestly, it's really up to you. Get rid of the candy cane if you don't like it. You know, put the candy cane on the tree, which actually I think is maybe what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip my candy cane, and instead of it being on the J, I'm going to put it on the Christmas tree. So you kind of get the idea. You can really play with these and make them look however you want them to look. Now, again, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select both of my, well, all 3 of my items on this one. I'm going to flatten them with this little icon down here. And then I need to add that offset so that it will cut correctly with your Cricut. So you can actually use scissors on these as well. You don't have to use your Cricut. Because the background is clear, you just kind of cut really close to your design. But for the Cricut purposes, you're going to want to add a offset. Now this one is pretty like standard, like nothing exciting. So I'll make that offset quite a bit smaller than the others just because it doesn't need such a large offset because it doesn't have a lot of tiny spots on it. It doesn't have a lot of divots or anything. So I'm going to do it like that, and I think that's fine for this. Now, I'm again going to make it white because we don't want it to print in any color. But if you do want it to have a color, you absolutely can. So I always forget about that, but you can add a color if you want to. Maybe you want like a yellow background. Maybe you want it to have a black edge. Whatever you may want, you can do that. And what's cool is you can even add patterns. So if you want to do a pattern, you can do that as well. It just really depends on
what you want your design to look like. If maybe you want like it to look like gold, you can do that. There's some Christmas patterns in here. You can do like little red snowflakes, bluey weird snowflakes. There's like a fa la 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 one. So there are lots of patterns that you can do with this if you so choose. It's really up to you and the way you want it to look. Now, me personally, I'm like a white offset kind of girl, especially for something like this, but there's a lot of ways you can do this. Now, again, I want to select both items. I'm going to right click on these and I am going to flatten them. Now I can right click and flatten, or I can use this. For me, my brain just thinks right click and flatten. And then we're going to size this to fit on our mug. So with a mug, I don't usually tend to go a whole lot bigger than like 3.25 to 3.5 inches, but it's going to depend on your mug and your sizing. Now for the mug, I do want 2 of them because I want 1 on each side. So I'm just going to duplicate this using this little plus square, and then I've got 2. Now, just because I don't want to really waste material, I am going to do and add like 2 more of each of these just in case something happens when I am cutting them or when I go to put them in the water. So I will have a couple extra pieces just so that I have them. Everything should fit on one page, but let's find out. First thing I'm going to do is save this, and I'm going to save this as, not that, I'm going to save it as Christmas water slide. Or slice, I want slide, and click save. Now I do always recommend saving before you hit make, just so that you don't end up accidentally closing out and needing to save your project, especially if you're doing print and cut projects. Now with water slide, you do not mirror your image. The water slide paper doesn't require that, so just keep that in mind. Nothing needs to be mirrored on a water slide image. Now I'm going to click make, and with any luck, it all fits on one page. It sure does. Now, these are going to be really easy to work with. I could probably fit another one of these bees too if I wanted to, but I don't have to. Now, because I moved that, I am going to hit cancel just because if you don't, it's not going to cut in the right place. So I'm going to go ahead and click make, and I just want to make sure everything is lined up where it's supposed to be, which it is. And from here, we're just going to click continue. Now, you want to make sure that you send this to your printer the correct way. Now, they always tell me to calibrate. I calibrate all the time, so you can ignore that. But what you're going to do is you're going to send this to the printer. I also want you to be sure you note what size your water slide paper is. Mine is A4, so I do have it set to the A4 setting. Now what I'm going to do here is click send to printer, and you simply just click next. That just kind of tells you what it's supposed to look like. Now I'm using my Epson EcoTank. I'll link one down below that's very similar. They don't make mine anymore. And I want to only print 1 copy. The bleed in this one does not matter because we have white around all of our images, so you can turn it off or leave it on. It won't change anything. But the main thing you want to do is make sure that you're choosing system dialog. Now, when I hit print, it's not going to send this to the printer. It is actually going to open up our system dialog for our printer, which is right here, and it's going to allow us to change some print settings so we make sure we get a really good print. So what you'll do is you're going to choose preferences, which is this option right here. Make sure you have the correct printer selected, of course, and then I'm going to change my document size to A4, and then I want to change it from plain paper bright white. And for this one, I find that presentation paper matte works pretty well, as does photo paper glossy, so kind of play with your printer, figure out which one works best for your printer. I'm going to change my quality from standard to high. I make sure color is selected, and then I go under more options and I turn off high-speed print. Now, if for some reason you don't have these print settings, make sure you go to your manufacturer's website and reinstall the drivers for your printer, because that's probably what's causing the issues with you not having all of these settings available to you. Then all you do is click OK and click print to send it to your printer. Now this is a step that you cannot skip when you're working with water slide. You need to seal these, and I prefer to use a clear spray. I'm just using this one from Rust-Oleum or whatever, but spray in a couple of different directions. That way you make sure that you fully cover your water slide decal and everything will stay in place.
Once you have your water slide fully sealed and dried, you can load it onto your Cricut mat, and we're going to cut this. I do use the medium cardstock setting for this. Cuts really well for me. Do some test cuts, but medium cardstock is a great option. I'm going to go ahead and hit that button. It's going to read our lines and cut out our designs. Unload this, I'm going to go ahead and make sure it cut through, which it did. Looks like it cut really, really well. So I'll go ahead and unload my mat, and then you can see those offsets. Now I will say, I do think I need to potentially calibrate in the next, I don't know, couple of days or so, but they're not bad. So I think it's fine for water slide. If these were stickers though, I probably would be a little bit more picky, but you're not gonna see the white outline, so it's fine. Let me move this out of the way really quick, and I'm gonna show you how to take these off of your mat, just in case you don't know if you're new here. You're gonna flip your mat upside down, and you're gonna kind of turn your mat, and you see how the stickers or the water slides are just coming right off? You don't want to get these all wrinkled and crinkled and curled. They will curl in the water once we do that portion, but we don't want them to do that prior to. So we've got all our cute little designs. Now we're gonna do these two on some ornaments. We'll do this on to the mug, and then we're gonna make a little bookmark with this one. So let me go get my blanks, get some water, and I'm gonna show you how to do this. We're gonna start with the ornament first. Now I'm gonna be honest, the offset made this just a touch too big, so I trimmed the offset off just on the tall parts of the antlers. It will not affect the way that this looks on the blank. And then I just trimmed a little off the bottom so that the whole water slide would fit. Otherwise I just had a little overhang, and we don't want that. Now the first thing we want to do is get the protective coating off of your acrylic blank. I like to use my pin pen to get it started. I just find that works a little better for me. And then once you get it started, you can peel it off. Now you can definitely peel off both sides, but I like to peel one just so I can see the edges of the ornament. This is fully clear. It's just the little like cover sheet that makes it look white, but it makes it a little easier to see what you're doing. Now you're gonna want a bowl, and you're gonna want some water. Lukewarm water is best. It's going to work really well for this. So I like to fill this up a little bit higher, just because my bowl's kind of narrow at the bottom. Now, what we'll do is we are going to take and place our design, and this is going to sound really counterintuitive, but you're going to actually put this directly into the water. You want to make sure that it doesn't curl up on itself too much, so I like to just hold both sides of it and kind of hold it down. And you'll see that as it kind of sits in the water, it'll naturally uncurl on its own. Now, if you use a little bit warmer water than what I'm using, this will go faster. But my house is cold. My water sat down here for a few hours while I was doing some other things, so it may just take a little bit longer. But like as I let go of it, you see now it's not going to curl in on itself quite as much. So you can let it sit in the water by itself for just a little bit, usually like anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 or 3 minutes. And then I'll show you how to tell if it's ready. Now, can you see that it's flattened out quite a bit more? It probably will never be fully flat, but what you want to do is you can take your little design out and you can push this off the paper a little bit. Now, this isn't quite ready. It's not sliding as easily as I would like. Now, that's why it's called water slide. This will slide off the backing really easy when it's ready. So I think this probably just needs another 30 seconds. Now that I've let this soak just a little bit longer, let's go ahead and see how well it's sliding now. Now it's sliding really well. Can you see that? So what I'm going to do is I want to take a little bit of water, and you just put it on your fingers, and you're going to wet your blank just a little. You don't want it like soaked in water. And I've got a little piece of my hair stuck to that. Who's shocked? So I don't want it like fully soaked. So I just kind of dribble a little water on it, wipe some off. Let me move the bowl out of the way. Then what you'll do is you're going to take your design and you're going to slide it off of your paper. And now from here, we can slide it around on our blank and put it where we want it. So I just want to kind of get it centered with the hole for the ribbon. And I just like to make sure that there are no bubbles. So what I do for the bubbles is you're going to just very carefully hold your design down, and you're just gonna kind of, you'll still slide it around a little, but I just sort of push any of like the excess water and make sure there's no bubbles in the design. Now you can definitely take a towel and dry this off a little, but I prefer to let them air dry. So we'll air dry this, and then I'm gonna show you how we're gonna put a little bit of a protective coating on it, just so that it's a little bit more protected. Now we can move on and do our next blank. Now for this one, this is going to be really, really similar because this is just one of the acrylic bookmarks, but we're going to do something super fun with this one too, so that the design stands out, because remember that bookmark design had a lot of white in it. So here's our bookmark design, and this is going to fit really well. I've measured this one much better, but this one has a lot of white in it. So in order for that white to show, we're going to do something special on the back, but I like to put my decal on first. So again, we just place it into the water. Now this one being long, I am gonna make sure that this one, it doesn't curl. See how quickly it curled up? You wanna just make sure that it doesn't do that. So be prepared to get your fingers a little bit bit wet when you do this because you are going to need to kind of hold this down for a few so that it doesn't curl up on itself. Doesn't always mean it's going to get damaged if it does curl up, but sometimes it can stick to itself and you don't want it to do that. So I'm just going to kind of hold it down until I'm sure it's not going to curl too much. It can curl a little, and we'll let it sit in the water for a little while. The last one took about 2 minutes, so this one will probably take the same. Now again, we'll test this to see if it's ready to slide. So I always do that before I fully commit. And that bad boy is slidey, so it's perfect. Now you can decide which way you want your name to go. I personally prefer the name to start at the bottom and go to the top. But if you want it the other way, that's fine too. There's not really a wrong way. So again, I just sort of slide this paper out from behind it. Now again, remembering that this is clear where it's white, so it's a little hard to see when you're doing this. But I like to just get it lined up where I'm happy, nice and straight. And again, I just sort of hold this down, and I'll re-straighten this after I kind of move this around and get some of that excess water. Now you never want to come at this with a squeegee or anything like that. You can rip it. This is pretty delicate. And then I'm going to go ahead and let me just slide this off the table because it's pretty wet. I'm going to see if you can see it a little better if I hold it against my hand, but it's on there. And we'll do the same thing where we're going to set this over to the side and let it dry. Now, here's one thing. I don't want you to set it like sideways or anything because this can move a little bit because it does still have quite a bit of water on it. So for this, you want to dry it flat on a flat surface and kind of out of the way if you're working on other things. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get our mug in here and show you how to do a mug. Now, deeply and truly, once you've done one of these, you can do a bunch of these, and you'll see this is going to fit really well on our mug too. So once you do it once, it's all really the same. It doesn't really depend on the surface. It's all going to be done just in that same fashion with making sure that it doesn't curl in on itself, letting it soak for a few minutes, and applying it to your surface. Now, this is going to be a little bit different because we are applying this to a white surface. So with this one, we're not going to have to worry about any of those white parts. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put the water on this and let it kind of dry off a little bit before we commit to putting that on, because that needs to soak for about 2 minutes. Now that this has soaked, we'll double check its slidability, sliding beautifully. See how you can see it move on the backing? That's how you know. Now I'm going to get this lined up best I can onto my mug. And that's one thing I really love about water slide. Look at that. It's super uneven, right? Like not even straight. Very unhappy with that. You can move it. You can figure out where you want it to go. And now for this mug, I want one on each side, so I'm gonna hold it up like this. And I know you're not gonna be able to see me doing it, but I'm moving this little decal just around a little bit so that it's gonna be even with the one that's gonna go on the other side of it. So that way I can make sure that it's gonna look good and even. Now we are only gonna be able to do one side at a time because you don't want this side to move around and get messed up when you're doing your other side. I think I'm gonna scooch it just a little bit this way. So we are gonna let this sit and dry as well. Now once everything's dried, we will show you how to seal the acrylic ones. This won't need sealed, but I do not recommend dishwasher or really using this scrubbing it or anything like that because the water slide is not going to last too well. You can seal it with a dishwasher safe Mod Podge, but that does take a really, really long time to dry. So just keep that in mind when you're putting them on mugs. I would use them more for a decorative purpose than actual use. We are ready to start handling the different things we're going to do with our ornament here and with our bookmark. So I'm going to start with the ornament. Now I'm going to be using UV resin and I'll use glitter, but that's going to be on the bookmark. The ornament we're just going to leave clear. And then I have a UV light here, but you can use regular sunlight too. Now when working with UV resin, yeah, you want to wear gloves. I don't tend to get it on my hands, but it is important that you wear some gloves. You can wear some of these that are just nitrile gloves, or you can wear those regular plastic ones for washing dishes. Whatever you got will work. But you want to protect your hands from this. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not fun to get on your hands. Now I have 2 bottles because for some reason I have 2 of them open. This one here really doesn't have much left in it. So I'm going to get this into something and balance it upside down. I'm just going to use a jar that I have over here and let that run down. But this one has quite a bit in it, so I think we'll be fine. I'm going to take the top off, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread this over this ornament, and this is going to help seal in our water slide. Now, This is going to take quite a bit of UV resin because it's pretty big. Now, you don't need to do a super heavy coating on this, but with UV resin, I like to just kind of put it in the middle, and then I let it kind of sit for a minute, or like a couple seconds at least, and then I just sort of shake it out a little just to kind of make sure that any of those bubbles are gone. This didn't really have any in it. And then all I'm simply going to do is spread this out from the middle, and I'm using a little silicone, I guess I'd call it like a spatula, and I'm just going to take and spread the UV resin out, and I'm going to go all the way to the edge with this. Now, UV resin is a really fun product to work with, but it does take a little bit of practice. So if you want to get started with UV resin, I definitely recommend just kind of starting small, using some like little keychain blanks and stuff, and getting started with it with a smaller project. This one's pretty big. The other thing I will say is you want to make sure that you keep this away from any like open windows. Your UV light is away from where you're working. Mine is like way on the side, and it's off because any UV light that hits this can cause this to prematurely cure. Now, again, don't need a lot of like thickness to this. I'm just kind of going to spread it out, and it will self-level a bit. I put a little too much over towards that edge, so I'm just going to scrape some of this back over this direction. And all I'm doing is just trying to spread this, and you do want to try to spread it relatively evenly, and then you're just going to spread it all the way to the edge. Now, I try to get as close to the edge as I can without spilling over. I do have the protective coating still on the back of this because I wanted you guys to be able to see this really well, but I also wanted to make sure that I didn't get anything on the back or scratch the back. So now that I've kind of got it spread out over here where I've got quite a bit, I'm going to take some more from the center, and don't worry that there's like divots in it right now. We will correct those in a little bit, but right now I just want to try to get all the edges handled. And again, I'm not putting like a really thick coat on this, but I'm going to spread this all the way to the edge. So let me go ahead, spread this out, and then I'll show you how we cure our UV resin. Now, what I'm going to do is allow this to sit for a minute or so, because what I want is I want all that self-leveling of the UV resin to take hold. So I'm going to let this sit for just a minute or two, and that's going to allow that UV resin to get a nice smooth surface, and then I'll show you how we cure this. Now that I've let this sit for a moment, I'm going to take my little light, which I just got this from Amazon. I'll link it down below. I'm going to set it right on top of this, and then I'm going to hit this 99, and what that does is it's going to, and I'll see if it'll work. I'm going to show you. It flips, it turns the lights on inside. They're hard to see on the screen, but I'm going to let this sit. Now that's 99 seconds. I will usually do that twice for something like this where it's a little bit bigger. That way you make sure it gets a nice cure on it. Once that's done, you can go ahead and take your light out, and you can just turn it off, move it to the side. Now, I do tend to put this under there because I can cure any of the resin that's on here, and then it just cracks right off of the silicone. But this guy is complete. He's got a few bubbles in him, but he's not bad. I have definitely done a better job before, but I think it's still really cute. I'm going to take the backing piece off of this so you can see it up close, but we'll let that one sit to the side, and we are going to do our little adorable, I think this is so stinking cute, we're going to do our bookmark next. Couldn't think of the word bookmark. Now I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get any resin out of that bottle that I left sitting upside down, just so I don't waste it. And this is going to be done the same way. I'm just going to put like kind of a big line down the middle of this, and then I'll spread this out. So you don't need to watch me spread it out, but we're going to do something a little bit different to the back of this, because we're going to add some resin to the back, and we're going to use some glitter to create that white section that we need so that we can see our design really, really well. So I'll go ahead and get this done for you. So now that I've coated this one, just like I coated the ornament, I'm actually going to use a heat gun here, and I'm going to put this on my low setting, and I'm going to keep it kind of far away from the bookmark. But what that's going to do is it's going to draw out any bubbles. Now you don't want to put it on high, you just want to use it on that low setting, and I'm just very gently moving that around over the resin, and I want to make sure that I'm not going to heat this too high, because you don't want to heat the resin too much. You're just heating it enough to kind of get rid of any bubbles. So now that I've done that, I'll set this over to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and cure this just like I did with the ornament. I'm going to go ahead and place my little light on top, And I always want to make sure that it's fully covering my design, and I want to make sure that it's not bumping into the back of it. So we're going to go ahead and do this twice for 99 seconds, and then that will be cured, and I'll show you our next steps. This is almost done, so once this finishes its countdown, we'll take this and put it to the side, because we're going to do some UV resin on the other side of our bookmark. And what's fun about this is it's going to add that white to this. This looks so cute. I can't wait till it has the white on it, because like right now you obviously can't see like anything very well, but by adding that white layer, it's going to look really, really adorable. Now, one thing that I like to do is I'm actually going to change out my silicone mat for a piece of cardstock. I find that using cardstock makes it easier to get the glitter off, and that way I don't waste a ton of glitter. So now again, what we'll do is we're going to spread the glitter, the UV resin, to the bookmark. Now I did forget to put this one upside down, so this one is obviously not going to squirt anything out. So we'll use a more full bottle. So it's no different than when we did the other side. We're just going to go ahead and put that resin on and spread it around. So I will speed through this part since it's exactly the same. So now what's different about this side is that we're adding the glitter to this. Now I've obviously never used this glitter, so it is still closed, but I'm going to open it over my design. That way if any glitter kind of pops out, it'll go right onto my design. I don't love working with glitter. It gets everywhere, but it is really pretty, so we'll go ahead and do it. I'm going to open up the shaker side, and this is where you're going to just kind of place your glitter over your design. Now I do find that a tap seems to work a lot better than a shake, so I like to tap my glitter out, and you want to do a pretty heavy coat of glitter. Most of it will soak right into that UV resin, and we're going to do another coat of resin to lock that glitter in after we cure the coat that currently is there. But what you'll do is you're just going to kind of take this and tap this all over your bookmark. And you want to try to get a pretty even coat. I want to be pretty thick with it as well, because obviously I really want to see that design pop through. And you'll notice that not all of your glitter will end up stuck into your UV resin. It can only soak up so much glitter, but that's okay. We don't do a super thick coat of the UV resin, but it will soak up a lot of the glitter. And this is why I do this onto the cardstock. Now we're not going to hit this with the heat gun because that glitter is going to hide any bubbles that might be in there. But we will heat it with the heat gun for our second coat, and we'll take the glitter off after we cure this. I don't want to take the glitter off when this is not cured because you can damage where the glitter is sitting on your design. So now what I do is I let this sit for just a few minutes and allow it to soak the glitter in. I want to make sure that it gets as much glitter soaked into it as it can so that it's nice and glittery and white. And then I'm going to go over it just a little bit. I see a couple thin spots towards like this top section and just along the edges. So we'll let the glitter soak in, and then we will cure it with the UV resin again. Once this is finished, go ahead and remove your light again. And then for this one, we're going to go ahead and carefully kind of pick this up, and I'm going to just tap any glitter off that might still be kind of stuck on here. And you can see we still have a lot of glitter on. Now I do like to brush it just a little bit with my finger. I don't go crazy. I'm not pressing hard at all. I'm just kind of giving it a little brushy brush. And then we do have some that got around on the other side, but that's okay. I'm not worried about that. We'll wipe it off when we're finished. Now you can of course use like a little makeup brush, something like that, to brush any additional glitter off. And I just like to kind of get any of that like excess glitter off, and then I kind of go along the edge here just to kind of make sure that none of the glitter is stuck around our edge. And now we're going to add the second layer of the UV resin, and for this one we will use our heat gun, but I'm going to go ahead and just take this. Now keeping in mind that this is going to soak into that glitter a little bit as well, because the glitter is porous, it's got like spaces between it, so this might take a little more resin than you think that it will, but all I'm going to do is that same thing. Nothing changes with how I apply the resin. I am just doing it the exact same way, and all I do is I just kind of pull it to the edge of the design here of my blank, and then I just sort of swirl it around a little just to get it to the edge. So let me go ahead and get this all spread out, and then we will cure this, and then I'll show you what everything looks like all finished.
And here are the finished water slide designs. They're really fun and really easy. Now, do you have to seal them with UV resin? No, but they are going to hold up a lot better, especially on something like a bookmark that you're going to be handling a lot. I would definitely recommend sealing them with something. You could seal with Mod Podge, which is not my favorite. It's a little bit streaky. You could seal with a clear spray. Anything like that is going to really give you the longest lasting water slide possible. Now, I'll link everything that I used in this video down below so that you can make your own fun water slide decals. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Be sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube. It's totally free, and I would love to have you as part of my crafty family. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.